Yes, it's recording right now.
Brilliant.
Lavinia, can you introduce yourself to our people here?
Sure. So I am the founder, the host and founder of Women in Blockchain Talks. And I had the privilege of connecting with Maria on LinkedIn, and we had a conversation, and she joined my community. And hopefully she can say positive things about my community of women on Telegram. And she asked if I would come and do an introduction to blockchain and your role in it. And so I'm here tonight. I will talk more about my experiences as the blockchain or as the presentation proceeds. Can you hear me, Maria?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
perfectly. I will
great.
put my computer in silence, okay?
Okay, shall I just continue then?
Yes, please.
Okay, no problem.
We are hearing.
Okay, so if you are not aware, only 5.5% of Bitcoin investors are women. Startups founded between 2012, this is blockchain startups founded between 2012 and 2018, show only 8.5% of the founders or co-founders are women. This is taken from the link hackernew.com, why we need more women working in blockchain. And this is the reason why I have put together a platform called Women in Blockchain Talks, so that I can bring forward the many wonderful international global-minded women from around the world who are working in blockchain, have a business in blockchain, creating in blockchain, and present them to other women who are interested in joining this industry and this arena. I think it's very important that there is as many women in this arena, as many women who want to be. You shouldn't just be in it because you think you should be, of course not, or because you think you can make a lot of money. Blockchain is changing the world, and it will continue to change the way that we think about supply chains, how we conduct businesses. And as I go through the presentation, I will give examples as to why. So, bienvenido. Spanish is my second language, but I don't use it very often, so I will be conducting this presentation in English. I hope that you can understand me well. I'm assuming that you can. Maria was saying to me that you guys are international ladies where you use English all the time, so better than my Spanish, I bet.
Yes, Lavinia. Yes, we understand English, so don't worry. And if we don't understand something, we can ask you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so as touched upon, I'm the founder and host of Women in Blockchain Talks. I'm also the director of Butterfly Wealth Creation Consultancy, which is a financial well-being agency. And it was through this agency that I started to learn about Bitcoins. And of course, Bitcoins is the future of money where I'm concerned, or it's an element of the future of money, where how money is evolving into a digital currency. And there's so much more behind a Bitcoin. It's not just a digital currency. There's an ideology behind Bitcoin, which I think is so purposeful and so great and so inspiring even. And so through learning about Bitcoin, I started to learn about the technology that powers Bitcoin, which is blockchain. And I was fortunate enough to work for a company that is in the blockchain field. And in doing so, I was able to learn more about blockchain technology. And it wasn't necessarily in the finance, so it wasn't fintech. It was more to do with digital identities, this company that I worked for. But even so, I started to learn more about the industry, the words, the technology, and it really made a difference. And it really excited me to see how this new technology was touching lives, touching businesses, and changing the world. Let's move into the next slide. So as I just kind of touched upon there, I'm a speaker. I'm an international speaker. This is an international speaking gig for me to be speaking to you ladies there in Panama. I've spoken in Tallinn. I've spoken in Barbados, the Caribbean, which is where I'm from, not Barbados, but and I shouldn't say where I'm from. My mum was born in Jamaica, so I'm British born. But my roots are Jamaican, and I'm a Caribbean British woman. And I've been running Women in Blockchain talks now since last year. I wanted to do something that would help me stand out from the crowd and also shine a spotlight on the amazing women in the industry, simply because of the disparity in the industry. I've always been about women empowerment. So Women in Blockchain Talks is my way of giving back and making a social impact and helping those who desire my help, need my help. Just to say that as you can see, there's a Twitter sign on each of the slides, and at Lavinia Osbourne is my Twitter link. So if you want to share anything of interest as you're listening to this, if there's anything I say that interests you, then please feel free to tweet it, if that's okay with Maria.
Yes, no problem. Lavinia, I got a question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can we share this presentation with other people, because some of our colleagues cannot be here because they are, working from their homes, and sometimes they have to do a lot of things at the same time.
Sure, it's not a problem, which is the reason why I said that you should record it, and then you can share it with those people in your communities. That's not a problem at all.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. So what is blockchain? I'd be quite intrigued to know, with the people here on the call, can you just put in the chat if you already know what blockchain is? If you just put yes, no in the chat. Anyone like to participate? Let me know. Okay.
Yes, we got a response from William. William is saying that he understands that it's a technology that allows us to track all the transactions.
Yes, okay. So that's definitely one element of it. Okay. All right, so let me explain what blockchain is. Sorry. So it's a distributed database, and the database is what makes it immutable. Okay, so if you want to think of a database, the simplest database is Excel, for example. That's a database app, created by Word, of course. And so blockchain, their database is so enhanced that any information that is put on that database makes it immutable, meaning that it can't be changed. Everybody owns it. Once the information is there, it's shared amongst the people who have access to that blockchain, because there is more than one blockchain. When I first started to learn about blockchain, I just thought it was just one blockchain, but there are many forms of blockchains, yeah? So it's a distributed database to make the database immutable. We use cryptography to make the database safe. So cryptography is the language that blockchain uses. Consensus, it's a consensus to allow a database to obey established protocol. So for example, proof of works, contract. So it's an agreed, it allows people to create a contract on the blockchain, which everybody agrees upon, and it's put into the database using cryptography to make it entrenched. and unchangeable. Blockchain ultimately is a distributed ledger technology. Okay, so yes, it does track transactions, but it can also help with tracking supply chain. Where did that food come from? Where was it sourced from? When was it sent? You know, and the date it was stamped on. So you are able to track the journey of a product. Or for example, you're able to see if you are renting a bike or renting something and you're doing it on the blockchain, you can see exactly when it was rented, and when it was put back, so to speak. It can't be changed, it can't be questioned, particularly if it's on a blockchain where the consensus is permissionless. So that means everyone can see it, everybody owns the data. No one person owns the data. And that is what makes blockchain so special. It just increases the level of trust with the people who are interacting with that product or that service or that app, which is on the blockchain. Okay, so variations of the blockchain. Different applications of the blockchain require different characteristics. So you have decentralized versus centralized, permissionless versus permissioned, and then there's different levels of permission. What do I mean by that? So there are some blockchains that are totally decentralized, like Bitcoin. That is totally decentralized. But you could have a company that wants to use blockchain. So they have a blockchain, right? And let's just say it's called ABCD blockchain. ABCD blockchain, only Maria, Elena, myself, and say the company employees of ABCD blockchain can use that blockchain, okay? And maybe sometimes they give permission to people coming in who's going to work on a project within that ecosystem, okay? So that would be a centralized blockchain. So it's decentralized amongst the people who are using it, but it's not decentralized so that anyone around the world can access it. So this gives a nice overview. Permissionless is public, open to everyone, decentralized and transparent. As you can see, low cost fees, no cryptocurrency based, not anonymous, thus can be regulated. Privacy enabled, right? So this is permissionless. Permissioned private, public to open to everyone? No. Decentralized? No. Transparent? No. Low transaction fees, no cryptocurrency based, not anonymous, thus can be regulated. Privacy enabled. The reason why it's not a low transaction fee is because it's so open. So everything comes with its pros and cons. Permissioned public. Public open to everyone, decentralized, transparent, low transaction fees, not cryptocurrency based, not anonymous, therefore it cannot be regulated. Sorry, thus can be regulated, and it's privacy enabled. So when something is permissioned public, that means it's open to everyone who is based on that blockchain. If it's permissioned private, then it's not open to everyone. And if it's just permissionless, it's open to everyone and totally decentralized and transparent. So I hope that makes sense to you. And obviously, if you have any questions, put them in the chat and then I'll answer them at the end. Other key blockchain terms, and I think it's important to know the terms. So you have nodes. So nodes are the connectors to the blocks. Why is it called a blockchain? Because when information is created on the blockchain through the cryptography, it is stored in a block. And what happens is that all those people who have access to that block, it sends information to the nodes. And so everybody who is part of that block is able to get that information, and it is verified, okay? So it's verified in that via the nodes on that block. Then you have a smart contract, and it isn't like anyone, just to be clear, it isn't like anyone has to do anything, because if a smart contract is already in place, then what that means is that everything is being automated, and the blockchain recognizes that. and it just automatically does it. So no one needs to press any buttons. The blockchain allows that ability for the ownership to belong to everyone, not just one person, as touched upon. So a smart contract came into being around about 2012. And a smart contract is a way of creating a contract on the blockchain, which allows all parties to create consensus ultimately. POC, proof of concept. We talked about, so proof of concept is like a smart contract. Consensus is what we touched upon before, where it's an agreement of all parties. This is an important word because this is what the blockchain is all about. DApps or dApps, this means decentralized apps. These are apps that are created on the blockchain. So, you know, we have apps on the smartphone, we have apps on our computer. dApps are apps on the blockchain. We have DeFi. So DeFi is decentralized finance. An example of different decentralized finance is Bitcoin. And then we have fintech. The reason why fintech is so important is because blockchain is a technology. And right now, when most people think about blockchain technology, they're thinking Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a financial tool or financial app even, right? And so because it is financially related to the finance department, or it's related to the financial industry, and it's a tech, not only is it a DeFi, decentralized finance app, but it also falls under fintech, okay? So sometimes when people are talking about blockchain, you will hear fintech mentioned quite a lot, but you'll also hear agritech, which is agricultural tech. You'll also hear meditech, which is medical tech. Okay, so all of these things, just because something is in fintech does not necessarily mean it's blockchain related. If it's decentralized finance, then it is 100% blockchain related. Mining and gas. This is how Bitcoin coins are mined, and then there is a price on the gas for mining these coins. As we know, there's only a certain amount, infinite amount of finite amount of Bitcoins. And right now, Bitcoin just went through a halving, which basically means that they halved. So with the Bitcoins that are available, if the amount that is only available stayed in that amount, it would mean that Bitcoins would forever be super, super, super expensive. By halving it, it makes the supply more and therefore more cost effective. And then of course you have wallets, because wallets are where you keep your coins, such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Ripple, Monero. There's so many coins out there, and I'll touch on that in a moment. And so you can have an online wallet, you can have a cold storage wallet, and this presentation is not necessarily about cryptocurrencies, and that's where wallets really comes to its forefront. This is where I would need to delve more into that subject. But generally speaking, these are some of the key, amongst many, these are some of the key terms that you will hear around the subject of blockchain. Nodes, smart contracts, proof of concept, consensus, DApps, DeFi, fintech, mining, gas, and wallets. So of course, if you want to learn more, you can Google some of these concepts and just start learning for yourself about how blockchain has developed over the years and how these terminologies came into being. Many people I know in the blockchain sphere, they have basically taught themselves, taken the time to learn. But there's a lot of information out there. It can become quite overwhelming, and you need to know why you're studying it. Our time is precious, it's valuable, so we need to know why we are doing what we're doing and how we're then going to utilize it. Because as they say, knowledge is power, but more importantly, applied knowledge is even more powerful.
Lavinia, okay. Lavinia, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Okay, can we say that blockchain is a democratic technology?
Yes, 100%. But you have to remember there's different levels of blockchains. There's different types of blockchains out there. So blockchain, as just like the underlying technology, yes, it is a democratic technology. It is about decentralization. It's allowing everybody to be involved rather than some people in control. And with democracy, generally we choose someone to be in control. Blockchain isn't about putting one person in control. It's about everybody having access and creating equality. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. I think for me and for all the people in the house right now.
Perfect. Okay, so cryptocurrencies, there are more than 1,000 cryptocurrencies today, okay? There was a huge boom in 2017 of ICOs and different coins being created. And as touched upon, the key coins are Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ripple, okay? Those are the 4 key coins out there. But that's not to say the other coins shouldn't be looked at. It depends on why you're looking at blockchain, why you're looking at cryptocurrencies. Are you trading? Are you investing? So, you know, you always need to understand your whys and what it is that why you're doing what you're doing and why you're learning what you're learning. Since blockchain is a database, it can be used for all types of database applications. Most importantly, applications are in the financial arena, which is why I touched on fintech. And then we also have supply chain tracking, you know, the supply of goods via blockchain. And there's so many innovations coming up at the present moment in regards to blockchain technology. Now, let's be real, not all companies, all people need to use blockchain. Here in the West, we don't necessarily need to use it, but what we can use it for is to cut out the middleman and drive down costs. So it gives people a bit more control about how, about where they're getting their supply from and how they are purchasing it, which is very powerful. It gives individuals more choice, okay? But also, what is powerful about blockchain is that it allows assets to be tokenized. What do I mean by tokenized? So, for example, you could have a house. And at the present moment, if you were to buy a house via a group of people, you have to do it in this country, in the UK, you have to buy it via a consortium. So it would be a group of people coming together, they start a business, and that business would then buy the property, okay? So that business, the consortium of people who own that business would then own the property. With tokenization, you are able, for example, to buy a property and then sell the asset bit by bit. So, for example, someone might only have £2,000 to invest in a property. So they will be given a portion of that house via tokenization using a smart contract on the blockchain to say they have purchased £2,000 worth of this property, and this is their token to say that they own it. Very powerful. It means a lot more people can access assets that are part of an asset rather than a whole of an asset, which helps them to create wealth for themselves and their families, okay? And we're seeing this happening right now with the NBA. There's a basketball player, and I don't remember, it might be Curry, you know, and this information can be Googled and found online, but there's a basketball player, and he basically is tokenizing his contract, which will allow people, basketball fans, to own a part of his contract. And so when they go to sell his contract, they will then get a portion of what that contract is worth. You see how it's, you know, creating opportunities, it's decentralizing the way things have been done before, it's giving control or access to more people rather than one group of people or a person. And that is what blockchain is about. And, you know, we're still learning, there's lots of ups and downs, but ultimately the ideology behind blockchain is just amazing. It's just making it work on a mass platform. Okay, so
Lavinia, there's a question on the chat.
Okay. All right. How do you calculate the value of a token? It depends on the value of the assets. So if they choose to, say, for example, a house is worth 100,000 and they decide that they're going to make 100 tokens, that means each token would be worth 100, let's say £100. So if that person then pays £100, they get one token. Does that make sense?
Yes, a pound is equal to how many dollars?
Okay, so £100 in dollars would approximately be maybe 120, maybe $120.
Okay.
I don't know what the exchange rate is today.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Or you could do it in dollars. Say the house was worth $100,000. And then the owner said, I'm going to tokenize, I'm going to create assets of this property and share it with 100 people, right? So that means each token would be worth $100 US. Because 100 times 100 equals 100,000, right?
Okay, okay. Rachel,
Right?
are you right? Hello. Okay, the question was from Rachel. She's in the chat, but she's in silence, I think.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
It's
So
recorded.
continue. Thank you.
No problem. All right. So Bitcoin is more than the blockchain. It is more than money. Bitcoin is based on the blockchain. It's a proof of work, which basically means it's proven that it works. It's a proof of concept. So the concept worked, and then it actually worked. It's a peer-to-peer network. Okay, let's see, there's another question. How do you calculate the, yes, but I have other questions. Okay, great. Well, let's leave the questions to the end. Okay, so peer-to-peer network. So what that basically means is that we work peer-to-peer. It's not peer to company, then to a person. It's everybody's equal and we are sharing our resources, yeah? It's going straight to the person rather than via a company, which is what decentralization is all about. It takes out the middleman. It takes out the central element of how we would send money, for example, via a bank, you know, via Western Union. Bitcoin removed all of that and made it so much cheaper and a lot more accessible to people around the world, especially those in developing countries. And then, of course, it uses cryptography, which is the language of blockchain anyhow. Right, moving on. So Bitcoin, and this summarizes blockchain. So summarizing Bitcoin, it also summarizes blockchain. Bitcoin is the first system of money that is not controlled by an entity, that is completely decentralized. And this is a great book for anyone to read if they're interested in Bitcoin, the history, the ideology, the concepts behind it. The Internet of Money by Andreas M. Antonopoulos. Okay, so I want to give another example. We've talked about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is always going to be the #1 example of an app that is worked on blockchain or an application on blockchain. So let's talk about LATChain. LATChain stands for the Global Alliance for Blockchain in Latin America and the Caribbean. I'm Caribbean, so I have a huge amount of interest in what happens in the Caribbean in regards to the blockchain. And you guys are in Panama, so Latin America includes Central America plus South America. And so I think it's really important to touch on this as a case study. Now, as you can see here, there is a LinkedIn image or the link, and you can find out more about LATChain. But to give you an overview, LATChain is a blockchain, okay? And it's for the Caribbean and Latin America market, okay? And so because it's for that area, it is not permissionless. There are permissions based. So only a group, a consortium of people can access that blockchain. So some of the things that they've done on it, And this is why I'm mentioning, you can go after this to do your own research to find out more about blockchain. But customs, so Proyecto Cadena with customs of Peru, Mexico, Colombia, and Chile. They've done a single window, WEF, e-commerce for customs, digital identity. So componente principal en todos los proyectos, a proyecto en Barrio 31, Argentina. So of course, again, do your research, all of these. If you look into blockchain, you'll find more information on these different projects. So again, with the blockchain, right, it's not just one thing you can do with the blockchain. There's different products, services, apps that you can do on one blockchain. Again, digital money. So pagos fronterizo, I can't pronounce that one, sorry, fronterizos, and crypto bonus in Colombia, land registry, so Peloto in Barrio 31, Argentina, Peloto in Bolivia, Paraguay, and Peru. Public administration, so Peru Compras, Guaita Compras, public bidding in Honduras, OSCE, Camarada de Comercio, Lima, and academic credentials. Because the blockchain can also be used to help people register their credentials, their academic credentials, credenciales, sorry, credencials.
That's right, credenciales. That's right,
Yes.
you are pronouncing fine, don't worry.
Thank you. Yes, on the blockchain. So you have block certs, credenciales in El Caribe, which is so important, and credenciales académicas in Uruguay. So you can see that things are happening, not just around the world, but in our area, Caribbean and Latin America. So it just goes to show that as blockchain continues to grow and innovate and evolve, there'll be more opportunities for people, particularly women. Why not women? To get into blockchain, we need writers, we need marketers, we need digital technologists, we need business owners, we need business strategists, we need PR, we need business developers, we need connectors, we need educators. There's lots of opportunities. It might take some time for you to find your place and monetize your skill sets, but you can see there are opportunities, and it's for us to create them and also to find them, right? Okay, so to kind of bring my presentation to a close, because we only have an hour, so there's only so much that I can share with you, okay, without overwhelming you. Yes, without overwhelming you, and also for us to have time to take questions. Your place in this growing ecosystem is now. Are you skilled? Are you willing to invest your time to learn, get involved, get engaged, to keep abreast of the information and developments in this arena? Are you willing to learn? Are you breathing? I like to add that because, so many times we say, oh, this is going on and that's going on. But hey, if you are breathing, as long as you are breathing and you have a healthy mind and a healthy body, but more importantly, a healthy mind, then you have the ability to choose. And obviously you've come onto this presentation for a reason. I understand that you're women of agile, but this technology is moving so quickly, and agile project management is a skill set that's going to be needed for the projects. So agile will be is important in these arenas. So, as long as you can breathe, as long as you have a healthy mind, don't make excuses for yourself if this is something you want to get involved in. So I have put together a 90-day program, and it's an online coaching program. It's called Be Bold and Brave in Business and Blockchain. I'm not going to go into what the program offers and how the program works, because I want to keep the focus, and I don't want to take up too much time trying to sell you something. That's not what I'm about. I'm an educator, I'm a connector. So if you would like to know more, then book a complimentary one-to-one discovery call with me today. So this is the website to go to, https go.oncehub.com/Lavinia D. Okay, Lavinia D. So if you would like to know more about this online coaching program, which is due to start in mid-May, then book a one-to-one with me. It's free of charge, and we can have a conversation about this program. Okay, the spaces are limited. You know, I quite busy, as you can imagine, like everybody else. So, you know, if the time shown does not work for you, then you can contact me directly and we'll try and arrange something, because obviously the time difference, there is a bit of a gap, okay? And we'll try and make something work. But like I said, this is the program, launching it it's launched now and starting mid-May. And if you would be interested in knowing more, then book a one-to-one, a complimentary one-to-one with me.
Lavinia.
Questions?
Yes. Well, the first thing is, what do you think about what will happen with the banks, with the actual financial exchange that are carrying, you know, the banks and blockchain, and what will happen?
Sure. So what has happened, to answer your question, Maria, so everybody's heard of Libra? Libra? Facebook Libra? Did you hear about this? Sorry?
I don't have Facebook.
Okay. So Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, he decided that he wanted to create not a cryptocurrency, because a cryptocurrency is on the blockchain. He wanted to create a digital currency which kind of looked like a cryptocurrency, but it wasn't really a cryptocurrency, yes? And as many people know, Facebook has a lot of users. If Facebook was a country, it would be larger than Russia, okay? And so once he wanted to create this digital currency, the banks got really scared in America, and they pulled him into court, and they were asking him about the Libra and the currency, and, you know, basically questioning how he would manage it. Because if he had been able to go ahead with it, basically the project's been, you know, has been disbanded. If he had been able to go along with it, then it would have given him too much power over the monetary system. Do you understand? So they did not want him to have that power. So when the banks saw this, especially the American banks, they got a bit scared. So right now, a lot of the banks are creating a CDBC. A CD is a centralized, CDDC, it stands for a centralized digital currency. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, it's really just, it's come out of my head. Let me just quickly.
Lavinia, why you don't write in the chat the name? Centralized?
Yes. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, central bank, that's what it is. It stands for central bank digital currency. I got confused. So CBDC, and this stands for central bank digital currency. Now, what this means is that, as you know, around the world, there are many central banks. You have the ECB, which is the European Central Bank, the Bank of England, and you also have, I can't remember what the American one is called. I can't remember what the American one is called, but every country has a central bank, and they work with, yes, central bank digital currency, exactly, capitales creativos. And each country will have a central bank, sorry, and they work very closely with the government. So what a lot of these banks are doing is they're creating a digital form of fiat money, right? And it's different from virtual currency and cryptocurrencies, which are not issued by the state and lack the legal tender status declared by a government. So what that means is that with a cryptocurrency, it's not backed by the government. Virtual currencies are not backed by the government. This would be backed by the government. So it is a digitalized version. And this is how the banks are looking to combat people moving to cryptocurrencies, because they can see that the world is moving. They can see that money is becoming more digitalized, right? And people want to use cryptocurrency because of the decentralization of it. Like, no one owns it. It's owned by a consensus of people. And they're not going to give their power away just like that. So they have to join the party, but they still have to join it in a way where they have control. Yeah. And so right now there is a race between China and the US, the United States, who is going to produce the first major CBDC, central bank digital currency. So I hope that answers your question. Yes. Basically, the answer is that they are, they're not going to give their power away, but they're trying to be part of the game, so to speak.
Yes, yes. We understand. And
just to add, what this means for people like me and you is that you can see that currencies are going to be moving from the cash to more digital, but not just digital money, but a sort of cryptocurrency digital sort of money. Yeah. Okay. So it makes sense to understand how money is evolving so that you can, take advantage of it. You can leverage it, so to speak.
Okay. Okay. We got another question. How blockchain can help to mitigate the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Okay. So what I'm going to say to you in regards to this is that I don't work with Meditech, so it's not my forte. I wouldn't really be able to tell you how blockchain specifically can help with COVID-19. What it is allowing people to do, and has been allowing people to do, is send money to different people. I work more in financial tech, right? So blockchain as a technology, I could talk about it. I can educate people about it. I can teach about it to a degree, right? I'm not a technologist, but my area of expertise is finance, financial well-being. So I can talk about blockchain and fintech more so than blockchain and medutech. And COVID-19 would fall under meditech, right? Yes. So I can't really answer that question if I'm honest. But I do know there's a lot of work and a lot of innovations happening right now in regards to, COVID-19 and different organizations and companies looking to help. Like, for example, there's one project I saw, and it was talking about a way of tracking people once they've been tested. So tracking people using blockchain, so the track would stay on the blockchain. So you don't necessarily need to use blockchain to track things, but it's about the data, and the data not being, messed with. So the data is sitting. This is what blockchain does. It holds the data. So looking at data about where people are going, who they've been in contact with, so that you can manage the risk of COVID-19 spreading. So that's one thing that I've seen, but I don't know the ins and outs of it. Anything else?
Let me read the chat. Can I see the replay of this webinar somewhere later? Yes.
Yes. It's being recorded.
Yes. Okay. Lavinia, we don't want to take more of your time. It's important for us having you here right now and, teaching us a little bit more about this new technology. It's not new, but for us, for some of us are a little bit new. And thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. I know that it's not the same language. Sometimes it's difficult, but I only have to say, please be in touch with us.
Of course, I'm more than happy to keep in touch with you. And what I would say is that you should definitely look into LatChain, see what's happening, keep up to date what's happening with blockchain, not just on a, on a generic level, but also what's happening in your area. And when I say area, like the Caribbean, because it's such a new technology, because yes, it's been around for a while, but it's gaining bit more knowledge from the everyday person. Okay, so with that being said, there's more innovations happening. There might not be anything happening in, say, for example, Panama, but there might be something happening around Latin America, around the Caribbean, which you can benefit from. So, get involved, make an effort to find out, because there's a lot of information out there. I mean, I just love blockchain, absolutely love it. It really makes me feel positive about the future and what we can achieve as a community,
Well, I think in the name of every people in the chat, we want to say thank you, Lavinia. Thanks for having a little bit of time with us. Well, more of 1 hour, and we are happy to be in touch with you. We are happy to send you messages if we have more questions, and have a great night.
Thank you. And yes, you know how to contact me, and I hope to see you on Twitter, LinkedIn, and maybe in Women in Blockchain Talks, and even maybe on a call. So have a great evening and a wonderful week, and I hope you all had a great Easter as well.
Thank you, and same to you and your family.
Thank you. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.